Welcome to Alive to Thrive with Tracy Schnabel and
Lauren Lyman.
And we're going to be talking about healthcare hot topics. Actually, what we wanted to do is address, we had a comment from last week about, well, what is this exactly covering? So we wanted to just let you know that our objective here as holistic occupational therapists is just to educate the public about how to be their own healthcare advocates, about the research and personal experiences we've had with the healthcare system, and just to kind of also help inform you about the different types of treatments and physicians out there, because it can be really confusing with how complex and specialized the medical care has become over the past 50 years to 100 years.
Yeah, so the topics that we are going to talk about mainly fall under 4 different categories. So within our channel, we'll have 4 playlists. So the first one is health and wellness. So we'll talk about things like, autoimmune disease, which is on the rise now. It's upwards of 50%. So the majority of the population has an autoimmune disease, which is chronic.
I mean, like arthritis or
asthma, allergies, Crohn's disease, things like that.
Yeah, Crohn's is big, yeah.
We'll talk about prescription medications, kind of the epidemic of prescriptions that we're having right now and what that means for the future of the world. We'll talk about mental health issues, which we really feel are being underlooked in healthcare right now.
Yeah.
And we'll give you tips for flu season, diets, fads, lifestyle changes, things like that. So health and wellness will cover a wide variety of topics.
And I feel like as occupational therapists, we can cover health and wellness pretty well because of the background in our training. We're trained to look at a patient's psychological, physiological, cognitive functioning, and spiritual functioning. So we look at people in a multidimensional aspect where we feel that in the healthcare system today, we're looking unidimensionally, almost like pharmacologically, like we're just a chemical being and we don't have more systems other than chemical systems, which leads to a lot of people not being treated, or a lot of people feeling like they're not being heard right now. I don't know if you've ever been to your doctor, went in and didn't get the answers you were looking for, or after the treatment they prescribed still had symptoms, still had pain, and had increasing frustration with not getting the help you needed. We're here to help with that and to fill that gap. So that's what we're focusing on. And occupational therapy, Lauren, correct me if I'm right, wasn't it World War II that we started? I think it was after World War II. I believe it was, we're working with...
One of the world wars.
Yeah, one of the world wars. Yeah, might have been one. Yeah,
one.
That's what I need a correction.
1917, World War I.
It was using occupation, activities like crafts and different things and arts and wood crafting, things like that, to really help people recover physically and psychologically. So it's looking at people, in a sense, it's spiritually looking at what we need. We need purpose and creative expression as humans to heal. And so occupational therapy is based off that philosophy. So again, I feel like we're really experts in helping people be able to fill that gap that they're not getting in the current healthcare system right now, and helping them to live their best lives. And also, I think we can really be active in prevention, because we can teach people, how to take preventionary measures to stay healthy and to stay spiritually fulfilled before things get bad, where the modern medical system is they're starting to look in prevention, but it's mostly after the fact. Like, you go in after something's wrong. And we want to help kind of move the whole healthcare system from the paradigm that occupational therapy has, is really trying to prevent something before it gets bad, and trying to help you live your best life by looking at all these different dimensions and how they interact, which is also kind of like an area that's emerging now, functional medicine, which is looking at, nutrition and multiple factors to disease. That's also how occupational therapy looks.
So, and over time, like I said, occupational therapy is just over 100 years old, 1917. So over time, we did evolve to the point where we kind of looked away from arts and crafts and more creative ways to work with people, and got really into the biomechanical system, which is a great thing because if you're recovering from a shoulder replacement surgery, you need somebody to be able to mobilize your shoulder and help you get better. But we kind of turned away from the whole looking at someone as a whole perspective. So like an occupational therapist in a hospital, okay, I work in acute care. I see people who are sick and I make sure that they can get themselves dressed and then they go home. That's not a good occupational therapist, in my opinion. I think that there's so much more that we have to offer. So you're looking at somebody, can they be independent at home? And if they can't, one, is there something that you can do to make them independent? And two, if there isn't, what is your recommendation? Where are they going to go from here? Do they need to go into a nursing home? Or what are support systems that you can recommend to be put in place to make this person successful? So looking holistically at the person, that includes not just the physical component, but cognitive, mental. If you're depressed and you can't get out of bed, you can't take care of yourself, you're not independent, you're dwindling away, you're not eating, you're not getting up, you're not exercising, you're not doing anything but laying in bed. That's a problem. Even if you are capable, doesn't mean that you're fine and you should go home. Like, okay, from a physical perspective, you're fine, but the mental component has a big influence on your life and whether or not you can be successful at home. And then cognitively, are you going to go home and leave the stove on and burn your house down? That's important too. So I think occupational therapists more look at the whole person, not just the mental, not just the physical. Okay, who are you as a person and how can we make you successful in life? So we're kind of taking that back even further and making it even broader. Okay, we have this medical background. We know how to read research. We know what all these medical terms mean. How can we help you in your life? So not just looking at people who are already sick, looking at people who are interested in healthcare and are interested in preventing a wide array of problems. How can we help you make that happen without you having to go online and read all these articles and filter through which one's true, which one's not, what does this mean? So we kind of just want to be the gateway for you to help you live your best life.
And and just to give a clear maybe example in addition to what Lauren gave is like for instance the opioid crisis. One of my friends always makes fun of. She's like, "Oh, the opioid crisis. I'm sick of hearing about it." But I think part of the reason why there's a crisis is so many people have back pain, and the current way, you probably know somebody who has had back pain, or you have it, or a family member, or a friend. I think part of the reason so many people have unresolved back pain is because of the model of care that we have in the hospitals right now. So it's like, let's just write a medication for it. Now they've removed the opioids prescription, minimized it, but then they're like not really doing a really good replacement. And in my opinion, a lot of my former clients would complain about not being having an alternative option other than what they used to be prescribed. A hard medication. So for back pain, they found in studies that for men, sometimes, a lot of times more often than not, sometimes they have back pain, just general back pain, and it's correlated also with financial problems. And then for women, a lot of times it's correlated with relationship problems. So just like what we were talking about, looking at multidimensionally, so not just looking at it chemically, trying to stop the pain pathway from the brain to the back. That's thinking, okay, well, what caused this in the first place? Are you having so much stress, maybe financially, that your whole nervous system is tightening up and your whole body is like this all day long? And if we don't even talk to you and spend 20 minutes discussing anything with you about what's going on in your life, then we're never going to solve your problem just giving you a medication for Vicodin. We're just getting you addicted to Vicodin and making your liver process through all those chemicals that it's not supposed to process in the first place. So that's a problem. So we need to address, for women, like if it's a relationship thing, if men, if it's a financial thing, you have to look at mind, body, environment, all those things in order to actually treat the person correctly. And then also where I was talking about earlier, nutrition, hydration. Sometimes your joints get dehydrated. Lauren had back pain. I don't know if you could talk about that for a little bit, Lauren, because she had a variety of really holistic providers that really gave her hope because she used to be crying a lot and a lot of pain. So Lauren, you could kind of share with them about what your experience was and how holistic therapy helped you be able to be a mom.
Yeah, so I think it was probably 3 years ago at this point, maybe longer. I injured my neck, and being in the occupational therapy field, I knew a little bit about mechanically what was going on. Okay, I had inflammation, I needed to use ice. Everyone likes to use heat, by the way, and we're going to get into this in other videos, but it's not, the heat is actually causing more inflammation when you're injured, so you want to avoid heat. So for a while I was using heat because I was like, oh, it's muscular, I'm just sore, and it was making it worse. And I was so inflamed that I started getting numbness down my arm, and I was like, okay, this is not a sore muscle, something's going on. So I had my chiropractor and acupuncturist told me I had a bulging disc. No imaging done, she just knew. I went to get imaging done, and the one physiatrist, which is a rehab doctor, she told me, oh no, there's nothing there, you're fine. Okay, I'm not fine, I'm in pain. How am I fine? Something is going on. Just because it's not showing up on imaging doesn't mean I'm not, I'm okay. And that's something we're going to talk about too, the invisibility of pain, because sometimes there aren't markers that you're in pain. Maybe my blood pressure isn't elevated and I don't have a bulging disc showing up on the scans, but something is going on because I'm in pain. And I was almost treated as if I was just not wanting to get medications, but maybe trying to get out of work or something like that. So I was kind of taken aback by that, because anyone who knows me knows that I'm a very hard worker, and I loved my job.
Yeah.
And right now I'm a stay-at-home mom with my son full time. But when I was working, I loved my job and I loved helping my patients, and I didn't want to be hurt. I would go to work, basically spend all my energy and pain tolerance on my patients, and then I'd come home, sit on the couch and cry and feel sorry for myself. And it was really depressing because I didn't have a doctor that was willing to help me or try to figure out what was really going on. She put me in physical therapy, and I was kind of stuck with a generic therapist giving me generic exercises. And I said, look, I'm a therapist. If this could be cured with generic exercises, I would have done that by now. She actually made it worse, so I stopped going to her and I switched to another physical therapist who is more holistic minded. And then we got to talking, and what we found out was there was more going on than just I hurt my neck. Because why did I hurt my neck? So yeah, sometimes things happen. You're in a car accident and you're forced into an awkward position, you have a whiplash injury, whatever, things happen. But that's not how my injury happened. It was something small that probably shouldn't have happened. So what's going on in my body that's making me susceptible to neck injuries? That's what we need to look at. So not even just how can I manage my pain? What's the underlying cause? Okay, it's the neck injury. What's the underlying cause of that though? So it's like we're digging deeper and deeper every time. So your organs, which in school we basically with cadavers we're taught, push all the tissues aside, push all the organs aside. Here's bones and muscles. This is what we want to look at.
I studied, yeah.
And that's the way we studied. And I'm 29 years old. I don't know if you want to share anything. We're young.
I'm forever 29. Yeah. No, I'm 35.
Yeah. So we're at an age where most doctors are older than us, and this is what we went to school learning. So what did they go to school learning? And I'm not saying that all doctors think this way, but this is the medical model. Look at bones and muscles. Mm-hmm. Well, nothing's wrong with my bones. And my muscle wasn't really showing much of anything. So, and she actually said, good muscle. Look at it. She was looking at my scans, and she's like, you have pretty good muscles. And I'm like, that's great. That. Like, thank you for the compliment of my muscle that you're physically like looking at right now. But that's thank you, but I'm hurting. Like, what is going on with me? So, lost my train of thought here. So back to my physical therapist. She's told me that all of our organs are actually enclosed in a sac that attaches it's in the back, but my spine, at the base of your neck, basically your cervical spine. And when you're having issues with your digestive system, it physically weighs you down. So if you're having trouble detoxing, as in like chemicals and things in the air, things in the environment, things in your food, not like a drug detox. If you're having trouble detoxing, if you're having slow bowels or issues with digestion, if you have IBS, things like that, that will affect your posture. because it physically weighs you down. So it pulls down from here. So I'm pulled down, and then, okay, well, I can't spend my life looking at the floor. So then I look up, and then you end up with this like curvature in your cervical spine, your neck, that's not supposed to be there. So we worked on that a little bit. Eventually I healed from it. It took a very long time, and what I noticed was it wasn't until I took my type A personality and said, you know what, you need to calm down. You're not going to conquer the world at work. You know, there's always going to be patients here, there's always going to be people that need you, but you need to be there for yourself, because if you can't help yourself, you can't help your patients. So once I changed my mindset a little bit and stopped stressing myself out so much, I healed so much faster. And there is a reason for that, a physiological reason for that. When you're stressed out, you release a hormone called cortisol. And that actually causes inflammation in the body, and it causes pain, and it causes all these problems. So, you know, cortisol is great when you're being chased by a bear, you know, thousands of years ago. That's awesome, because it's going to give you the adrenaline that you need to run away from that bear. But when you're under a constant state of adrenaline, that's not good for your body. Your body's not designed to handle that. So I know you've all probably heard of fight or flight. So when you are being chased by a bear or a wolf or, you know, whatever, back in the day when we didn't have houses, when you're in a situation where you're scared and you need to be prepared, what your body does is it goes into this fight or flight mode where you're ready to go. Your body's releasing the cortisol you need to think quickly and to have the adrenaline to be strong. And your body is ready to take action whenever necessary. So what it does in order to make that happen is it constricts your blood vessels so that your blood stays in your core. So think about it. If you're going to be chased by a bear and a bear is going to bite you in the arm, you don't want to bleed out. So all your blood's going to stay in here with your vital organs and not really go to your distal extremities. So that's happening. Your any system that's not really needed in an emergency situation is going to stop working, because all your energy is needed for that emergency. So that includes your digestive system. So you're going to stop digesting. Your immunity, because immediately you don't need that. So your immune system is going to start shutting down. Your parts of your brain that control like logical higher level thinking are going to shut down, because you don't need to think logically, you just need to run away from that bear. And then your reproductive system is going to shut down, because you don't need to be having babies while you're fighting this bear off or running from this bear. So great in an emergency situation. Now think of it as, I'm stressed out all the time from work. Same thing. Your body's doing the same thing. Our bodies are not even evolved enough to understand the difference between being chased by a bear and being stressed out at work. So issues with fertility could be related to stress. Issues with digestion could be related to stress. Definitely. Pain that's not going away, all of that, like my issue related to stress, all these problems. And when you're stressed out, you make bad decisions. You're not thinking clearly, because that part of your brain is literally shut off, because your body's like, I don't need that right now. I just need to be able to run from this bear. That's not there. The hypothetical or
the threat.
Yes, metaphorical bear. So being stressed impacts your entire life. And I finally came to that realization. I know it sounds like, well, duh. But no, it really physiologically affects every system of your body. So once I started to calm down a little bit, I was able to be more successful in my therapy. So that was great. Fast forward, sorry, it's a really long story. Fast forward to
very informative,
a couple years later, I had a baby, and he's 15 months old now, and I'm still in therapy recovering from my being pregnant. So what happened was my abs separated. There was about just a 2-finger separation between my abs, and this does happen to a lot of people during pregnancy. Mine never closed up though, and I was having a lot of trouble. I ended up with a hernia. And doctors were telling me surgery. And my therapist that was working on me before, the one I have now, was telling me surgery. I don't want to have surgery. I have a 15-month-old baby. I want to be able to hold my baby. I don't want to have surgery that one, puts me under anesthesia. There's the risk there. 2, you're implanting some foreign mesh object into my body.
Have you seen those commercials?
Yeah, they're all over. Watch TV during the day. Mesh implants causing infections all the time. Not doing that. No, thank you. And 3, I want to be able to hold my baby. I don't want to be on lifting restrictions. And even if I do something to injure myself after my surgery, I could just get another hernia. So you do surgery to fix my hernia, and then I ended up with another hernia at the surgical site because I have to live my life. I mean, how do you not use your abs? That's impossible. Mm-hmm. So anyways, I ended up with a chiropractor who's also a physical therapist, and she's great. And she opened my mind up to another problem. So not only were my digestive issues, which are now under control, participating to my potential for injury, my vulnerability, but also my spine. So your spine is broken up into segments. So your cervical spine is your neck. Then comes your thoracic spine, which is like the middle of your back. And then after that comes your lumbar spine, your lower spine, and then, further down. But anyways, basically my thoracic spine in this area was not moving. Your spine should move freely. Every vertebra in your spine should move freely. Mine wasn't moving. It was kind of like it was fused together. So then what happens? Well, your body's going to do whatever it needs to do to make an action happen. If you want to jump, your body's going to figure out how to do it. If you want to lift your arm up and you're having trouble with your shoulder, your body's going to do all this like weird stuff. I don't know if you've ever seen anyone who's recovering from a shoulder injury or a stroke and they kind of have these awkward body movements. Mm-hmm. It's because your body wants to be successful at life, and it's going to do whatever it can to be successful. So what my body was doing is it said, okay, your middle spine, your thoracic spine's not moving. Well, we're going to make the neck and the lumbar, the lower back, move a lot. So I'm hypermobile in those areas of my body to compensate. So when you're hypermobile, it makes you more susceptible to injury.
So yeah, extra mobility. You could kind of do a finger test and see if you could pull your finger pretty far back. It's an indicator that you might be hypermobile as well.
And certain joints is not a big deal. Mm-hmm. Your finger's a hinge joint, so you're not going to have as much trouble as something with like your shoulder where it's like, we call it a ball and socket joint. It's really not, but where it's kind of just the head of your bone, and then it's kind of just hanging out here and connected and held up through tissues and ligaments. So it's more susceptible to injury then. If you're hypermobile, you have to be careful. So I kind of knew that. I knew that my thoracic spine wasn't moving well, and I had been working on it, but it wasn't having a lot of success. Okay, so now we're down to, 2 or 3 different levels of why I'm having pain. Now she took it a step further. Why is your thoracic spine not moving? So there's another level. Oh, that's a good question. I don't know. It's because my abs are weak. My core is weak. And I was like, what? That makes no sense. I'm like Miss High Intensity Interval Training, like Insanity. I'm doing all these DVDs. There's no way I have weak abs. My abs are strong. Well, my 6-pack abs, my rectus abdominis was very strong. My transverse abdominis, the abs that wrap around your entire core and hold your posture together, very weak. And my rectus abdominis was compensating for that, and I didn't even know. So because there's weakness in the muscle, because muscle is supposed to be holding us all in our good posture and holding us together, not bone, which is kind of what you would think it's bone, but it's really the muscle that you should be relying on, not your bones. So the muscle wasn't there, so the bone said, well, if she's not going to give us stability through her transverse abdominis, then I guess we're going to have to fuse her thoracic spine to get stability somewhere. Mm-hmm. So like I said, your body is programmed to be successful at life. And what you do to your body, things that you do that negatively impact your body's going to find a way around it. How can we survive? We're animals. Our goal is to survive. Our body is programmed to survive. That's why we've been around for as long as we are.
So interesting. We think we're so above like nature and animalistic tendencies, but we're not.
That's who we are. Yeah. And our brains are bigger, but we still have all these issues that we think we're above, and this okay, this isn't going to hurt me. This will be fine. It's not fine. You need to take care of your body. And when there's something wrong, physically or mentally, when there's something wrong, you need to seek help and figure out what's wrong. Don't ask for pain pills. Don't ask for cover-ups. Don't say, oh, well, it'll be fine. figure out what is going on, what is the underlying cause, and how can I fix it. And that's what our whole
underlying cause, that's the best way.
That's what our whole thing is about. And like I said, with me, it was like we got down to like the fourth underlying cause. Well, this is happening because of this, which is happening because of this, and then that's why you're in pain. A pain pill's not going to tell me that. A pain pill's not going to fix that. It's going to get me addicted to pain pills, which, hey, that's great, because that's not something I want to be addicted to. Something with side effects, something that costs money, something that you build a tolerance to, so you're going to need more and more and more of. And then when the doctor says, oh, legally I shouldn't be giving you anymore, I'm going to be on the watch list here.
Oh my gosh.
Now you're addicted to drugs and you don't have any prescriptions. Well, what are you going to do? You're going to turn to heroin on the street because you're in pain. You need something. You're physically addicted. It's not just a choice. Addiction isn't a choice.
Yeah.
You became addicted because nobody asked what's the underlying problem.
The opioid crisis wasn't a surprise to me. I was like, oh, finally, maybe we could get America to wake up. So it's a perfect example of how we're not looking holistically or multidimensionally at a person's problem. And then even if you do get a good doctor that's like, okay, you know what, let's try physical therapy. Like Lauren was saying, it also depends on the physical therapist, because a lot of times the standard treatment is biomechanical, so just looking at like strengthening your muscles.
Even occupational therapy, any therapy, any doctor, any therapist. I mean, these are the norms in Western society, but there are people outside of them. It's just harder to find them.
Yeah, so they're going to do some strengthening, probably some spinal strengthening, rotator cuff strengthening, and they'll be like, okay, we'll send you on your way. So I'm sure a lot of you out there have gotten therapy, and then they're like, oh man, I still have back problems, or oh man, that didn't even help, or oh man, I got injured again, like surprisingly within a year. Well, it's probably your problem was never actually fully corrected, and that's why I'm such a big advocate of holistic medicine and spending a lot of time with patients instead of rushing them through like every 15 minutes or every half hour, because human beings are so complex, and if you just minimize them to like one box, you're going to miss a whole aspect of their being. So we really could create a huge change in people's lives, pain, and just look at Lauren. To me, it breaks my heart, that people when they don't find the right provider or the right help for their problem, because she is occupational therapist, she's a mother, she's a wife, she's a friend, and all these roles are being impacted by the pain she is having. She's a very productive person. She loves to help. So when she wasn't able to do those things, it was hard to see her, because I could see like the pain, and it caused psychological problems, not being able to move about. So that's another thing that we're also emphasizing, as she said earlier, the link between mental health too as a part of, and physical health. What I was saying before to Lauren is when you go into the doctor, a lot of times they look at your physical problems as having nothing to do with mental health. So as I was saying, that's a problem, because a lot of women, their back pain was correlated with relationship problems. So like you have to look at multi-dimensions. The mental health aspect could be causing your body to go into a defensive mode because you're having problems emotionally, and then it results in a physical problem. But if we just treat it as a physical problem, you're going to miss the root cause of the problem. Or converse.
I was just going to say that. She reads my mind sometimes.
Yeah, we're like on the same plane. If you have a mental health problem, it could be related to physiological things. So you might not be getting enough vitamin D. There was a doctor that wrote books about magnesium and how many people are magnesium deficient.
A lot. Vitamin D,
a lot more than you think.
Definitely.
Yeah, huge contributors. Or maybe like you're just not eating at all because you're depressed. So like maybe you don't eat, and you don't recognize how fueling your body is the same thing as fueling your car. If you don't fuel it, it's not going to run. And
I like what you just said there. It's a cycle. So, okay, what came first, the chicken or the egg, the depression or the vitamin deficiency?
Right. Yes.
I mean, let's say you weren't eating healthy, and then you tried to eat healthy and it didn't work well for you. You weren't losing weight, because weight and appearance seems to be the way that we all define health, even though that's not true. Mm-hmm. Anyways, let's say you're not getting enough magnesium. We'll say magnesium. A lot of people are magnesium deficient. You're not getting enough magnesium. You're not sleeping well. You're getting depressed. Mm-hmm. Now you're not really pursuing your goals in life because you're depressed, and then you're not eating well. So then you're not getting enough vitamin D and magnesium. You're not going outside for the vitamin D. It's like a cycle, and then you just spiral down, and then you just throw in an antidepressant. Oh, here, feel better. Here's an antidepressant. Well, what you just did, if you take an antidepressant for as little as 2 months, you become dependent on that for your entire life because your brain structure physically changes to compensate for that antidepressant you just introduced. So rather than giving you the vitamins that your body needed to function on its own, because our bodies are capable of functioning on their own, we need to help them. So instead of helping your body help itself, you just said, oh, here, well, you take a nap. We'll do it for you. And now you're dependent.
Yeah, so the idea is, and ancient medicine, and we're going to talk about this later, is that the body is designed to heal itself. You just have to give it the right fuel to do that. And if we're not giving ourselves the proper nutrition or the proper sleep or the proper activity level, again, remember back in the day, we used to be moving around a lot more, and society is kind of like strange today. We have a lot of people doing computer work, very involved in the digital world, and we're pretending like our body doesn't need movement or activity. And sometimes that could cause all kinds of difficulties. I learned working in the hospital that, for a lot of patients, if they don't move, that's part of the reason why they're constipated, because they're not getting enough circulation to their gut area, and nothing's being moved through all those intestines, and it's just being blocked and backed up. So movement is huge, but for some reason we think, oh, I could just stay on Facebook all day, or I could just do things in front of my computer and never have to leave my house and never have to take a walk and never have to exercise, and it's going to be fine. And it's not. For your physical and psychological well-being, we need activity, we need sleep, and we need proper nutrition, and we need love. So we're going to encourage you to look at that and to address many different healthcare diagnoses and health topics, and how to get the right treatment for what you need, so that you don't keep getting injured or keep having pain or keep getting frustrated when you go to the doctor. And that's one of our main objectives with this YouTube and our podcast channel.
Yeah.
I'm going to share real quick. Thanks for staying tuned with us. I just really want to articulate, our first episode was to articulate our background. Our second is the reason why we're doing this. So the first one was why we're qualified. The second is why we're passionate. So I'm really passionate about this because I've had family members and friends that have had mental health issues, and I've seen them struggle unnecessarily. At the time, I didn't know it was unnecessary. I thought that that's just how things were. I'm not saying every psychiatrist is like this, but I've seen psychiatrists just see somebody for 10 minutes and write them a prescription. Now, if you have a mental health problem, again, go back to the multifaceted model, you need to look at, how is their environment? How is their body functioning? How is their mind functioning? And sometimes, somebody who's depressed is just going to sometimes just shut down and say, oh, I'm fine. Okay, don't change anything. I think, in my opinion, psychiatrists should be talking to the family if they can. Not saying that all don't, but I know a lot don't, because they are rushed and trying to move through. They're not looking at the body. Are you getting the proper nutrition? Again, we're saying vitamin D and magnesium are huge, and those neurochemicals to be feeling whole. They're not looking at the organ they're treating. So Dr. Amen has a great talk about this on a podcast. You need to be examining what you're looking at treating. And so an orthopedic doctor will look at your knee, maybe do an x-ray and see what's going on. But your psychiatrist is giving you pretty heavy drugs that, like Lauren said, will alter your brain forever. But we're not looking at the activity and what's going on in the brain. And we're not reevaluating whether what we're doing is working or not. And occupational therapists, when we work with patients that have mental health concerns, we also evaluate, like we said, their cognitive states. Are they problem solving? Are they organizing things well? All these higher level functionings, are they able to plan things? And we evaluate their ability to do those things, and then we help put in strategies in place for them to be successful if they're not able to. So maybe if somebody comes in and you're writing them a script for medications, but then they're not able to take the medications because they're not able to remember. So we have them set timers and things. And then we do evaluations to test how those cognitive functioning is working in the brain at point A, point B, and point C. From what I've seen, a lot of psychiatrists haven't done that. And then another thing that I have a problem with the healthcare system is I've also had friends and family members that had difficulty to even accessing healthcare after family members have like lost jobs. There's Lauren, I forgot the name of there's like a program after you lose a job that you can get on insurance. I think it's Cobra. It used to be Cobra. And it's so expensive that after you lose a job, you can't afford like Cobra.
The deductible is like
it's insane. It was too much for us at the time.
$3,000.
Yeah. And I know too, sometimes people that work for themselves, you know, it can be difficult to pay for insurance. I was advocating for changes in healthcare for access to healthcare before Obamacare came, because a lot of people, if they lost their jobs, they couldn't get care if you had a pre-existing condition. So let's say just going to the psychiatrist did work for you. Let's just say that worked. You might not even be able to get there because you don't have insurance, because you have a condition and you had a gap in the period of time from when you lost your job to getting another job. So the insurance plan would not keep you on if you were applying and you already had a medical condition and a gap in your coverage prior to Obamacare. So I was really also advocating for there to be access to care as well, because I've seen people struggle with even getting access to care after losing employment. So not only is the healthcare system itself a little bit deficient, getting access to the system is difficult.
And there's no control over the pharmaceutical companies or healthcare in general. The insurance companies, there's no control over what they're charging you. You know, in other countries, there are caps that they put. You cannot charge more than this for this pill. Period.
Oh yeah, it was like aspirin was marked up like 7 times or something in hospitals. They found in a research article I was reading.
One aspirin is like $20 for one single pill.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. So we really need to change, you know, like continue to work on access for everybody to be able to access care, and affordability. It can't be too expensive that like let's say you have a plan, but then when you get out of the hospital, you have tons of medical debt, and then you have stress, and then that's going to impair your recovery. So accessible, affordable, and quality care is what we're advocating for. And we're really trying to push for a vision of healthcare to just totally shift, and for people to be truly well and to not live sick, because I think we've been accustomed to accepting the way things are and saying, well, I feel tired all the time, or I have pain all the time, or I just can't do all the things that I used to do. I'm getting older. And when I've learned what's really cool is that you can do everything you want to do and you don't have to, and aging isn't, you know, you don't necessarily, I've seen so many like 90-year-olds that when they ate good and they had good activity levels and they had good sleep, all the ingredients we were saying to health, they were doing everything. They were working, they were going out with friends. They sometimes from behind, when I work on people's backs that were like that, they look the same as like somebody my age.
I had a patient once that was 92 years old, and you know, you go in, you check, you make sure you're with the right patient, and I was just like, I kept doing a double take, and I had to ask him, I'm like, you're 92? He like went skydiving for his 90th birthday, and then I had to assess him to make sure he was safe to go home, and he's like, what do you want me to do? You want me to do some jumping jacks? And he was doing jumping jacks in his room at the side of the bed, and I was just like, oh my God, I hope I am like you. You know, what are you doing? And I know a lot of people will be like, oh, it's in my genes. I have horrible genes. We hear that all the time. Yeah. I have bad genes. I'm destined for it. You're not. So new research is actually showing that you can change your genetic composition. You can change your DNA. Fruits and vegetables are a great way to do that. Mm-hmm. Our bodies are made to communicate with nature. We were meant to live in nature. And the fact that we live in houses and we eat processed food is damaging our health. So nature is good for us. So try to eat as much as you can that comes from the earth and isn't infected with pesticides. Good luck. Like, try to eat organic if you can. I know it's a little pricier, but if you can eat from the earth and benefit from the earth, there are so many health benefits of fruits and vegetables. There's antioxidants in especially fruits and berries. But there are plants and animals have actually been shown to communicate with one another, and plants can actually change to almost like help animals survive. I know that's like a weird concept thinking that plants are alive, but they are alive. I mean, look at flowers. They literally, if you watch like a time lapse of a flower over a 24-hour period, you know how they fast forward, the flower literally, here I am, the flower literally closes at night and then reopens during the day. It moves. It thinks. It doesn't have a brain, I know, but it like thinks. It knows what to do. If you put a flower in a space that the sun isn't catching, it knows where the sun is and it leans towards the sun because it knows that it needs the sun to survive. And there have been studies, I swear to God, if you yell at your plants versus you talk nicely to your plants, the ones that you yell at don't grow well. So it's like everything around you is alive, and they help each other, and you want to take advantage of Mother Nature. Mother Nature is helping you. We are literally the people we are today because of a virus. Everyone's so afraid of viruses and germs and bacteria. Germs are good for you when you're not immunocompromised. And that's a whole nother issue. How are you immunocompromised? What made you that way? It wasn't germs that made you that way. I'm telling you that. But germs are good for you, and they help you be a stronger person. They help you help yourself. They help your body help yourself. And I'm all about that. Don't take over my body. My body's capable of living by itself. Don't take me over. Help me help myself. And so yeah, a virus is why our brains are bigger. Because Mother Nature said, like, hey, you need a bigger brain. You need to be smarter to survive as in your species. So the virus came along, we conquered it, and it's part of our genetic makeup. That virus is in our DNA, and our brains are bigger because of it. Cool. So germ theory is something that we're going to get into. It's still in its theory state, but it's fun and it's interesting, and it really opens your eyes to a different perspective. So,
and also like the current antibiotic crisis, you know, where again the doctors are like, oh no, I guess we shouldn't be running so many antibiotics because people were overwritten antibiotic treatments.
30% of antibiotics are not necessary at all. That's almost a third. 1 out of 3.
1 out of 3 people.
One out of 3.
And now our bodies are not responding to antibiotics because of the overprescription, and there's like certain bugs and things where they're mutating they're getting stronger, and the antibiotics are no longer sufficient for them. And so what's interesting too is we're going to talk about the way we used to treat back in the day. They used to use garlic as an antibiotic because it has the antibacterial properties. So your body would be able to fight it with its own immune system, like what Lauren was saying.
And oregano.
And oregano. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Stephen was saying that.
Your meat. Remember how they used to feed animals antibiotics, and then we would eat those animals, and it was like a big deal. It is a big deal, but it was actually made a big deal in society. Which, hey, like great.
Yeah.
They made a big deal out of it. So now you see like hormone-free, antibiotic-free. They give those animals oregano now. They put it in their water to prevent infections and things.
Yeah, so we're just going to be talking about on the show just different ways that you can help your body help itself, and, you know, different problems that we have in society now, like the overprescription of antibiotics, because that totally wipes out the good and bad bacteria, right?
It wipes out all bacteria in your body.
Yeah.
We are made up of literally tens of trillions of bacteria, and that's who we are. We are 1% DNA. We are mostly made up of bacteria, and the way that we behave, the way that we are, the way that our health is based on our bacteria. How many of this do you have in this? And the thing is, everybody's bacteria is different. I mean, you can't have the exact same. There's trillions of them. That's impossible. Everyone's bacteria is different, and that determines our health. So we have good bacteria and we have bad bacteria. And when there's a certain balance, when there's homeostasis, that's a word that we're...
Oh, yeah.
That's a word that we're going to use a lot, homeostasis. It's basically like what is normal. It's a perfect balance. Mm-hmm. It's perfect balance. So everything thrives when there's homeostasis, and that includes bacteria. And like Tracy was saying, antibiotics wipe out all bacteria, not just the bad bacteria, the good too. So 1 round of antibiotics, it takes you 2 years to replenish your bacteria in your gut. 2 years. By then, you probably already had another round of antibiotics. So there's no 2 years. So are we ever healthy? Are we ever in a state of homeostasis? Are we ever in a natural state of being? And today, no, we're not. And you can't completely avoid it. I mean, there's 5G's coming up. I mean, it's going to be everywhere. You're going to be exposed to a lot of crap, a lot of things that are bad for you, unfortunately.
Talking about the electrical magnetic frequencies. We're going to have a talk about that and how you can avoid certain electrical magnetic frequencies. We're taking in a lot. We're a product of our environment, and that's what occupational therapists know a lot too, is that our environment also is interconnected to our being. So we have to be very conscious of the toxins in our environment and also the positive things in our environment that helps us to thrive. So we're going to be talking about that with you as well, about how to avoid toxins and
how to
health.
Get as much to that homeostasis as you can, how to avoid the bad and bring more good into your life. And if you can't avoid the bad, how to counter it with more of the good. So we actually did just put together 10 easy daily tasks that you can do to improve your health. So it is in the link in the description of this video. So if you click that, just fill out your name and your email address, and it'll automatically send you an email with that PDF.
It's really good. Really good.
It's so overwhelming once you look into health. Like, oh my God, every area of my life is a disaster. I'm going to die. It's scary. It's like when you're a doctor and then you have a headache and you think you have a brain tumor and you're dying. It's like that. It's scary because you think like, oh my God, there's all this stuff going on and it's all toxic to me. What am I going to do? And it's overwhelming. And I kind of went down the rabbit hole over a year ago, and it was overwhelming. So now I put together, okay, here's where to start. Just start with these 10 things that you can do every day to counter everything else going on in your life. And then one of our channels is on living a non-toxic lifestyle, and we'll teach you ways that you can ditch certain things, switch to other things like, cleaning products that are causing hormonal imbalance, and laundry detergent that's synthetic and literally killing people because they're eating it.
So like the best way to explain it, how I do an analogy, is that the world is the upside down. So everything is the opposite of what it should be. And when you discover this, you have the reaction Lauren says, like, oh my gosh. So we're going to teach you how to make it the right side up. Mm-hmm. So instead of living, indoors, eating processed Cheetos, watching Netflix all the time and never feeling like really alive, we're going to teach you what your body needs to get out into the world and live your best life.
And if you stick with us, I mean, dedicate like an hour a week. Okay, for us, I mean, listen to this on your drive to work while you're working out. When you're getting ready for work in the morning, whatever you're doing, listen to us. But then set aside some time every week to put these things in action, because eventually, and I've been here, it builds up. Like, oh my God, I have so much to do now because you waited. But if you set aside time every week to put into action some of these recommendations, it will help you immensely, especially, the ditch and switch type of recommendations we have, buying different products. And I've experimented with a lot of stuff, and I will give you, this is what I use in my life. Try it out, because who wants to do all that research? It's a lot of research. It's a lot of work, and it's overwhelming. Yeah. So we want to be here to help you give yourself a better, healthier life so that you can be a better, happier, healthier you. So anything that we can do to just fast track that process, we will do.
And we're going to talk about growth and development.
That's another playlist that we have.
Yeah. Lauren's got some really great tips from being a mom, which is, I'm really impressed with her dedication to her son and really making sure that he has the best shot at life that he can get. She would go home and research for hours every day. And so I'm just so impressed by that. And I'm so happy to be able to share that with you, because I know not everybody can, go home and be able to research, and people get tired, So we just want to do that for you. She did the legwork and share that so that you could share that with the next generation. We are in a state right now where the lifespan of the generations behind us are not at the same lifespan and a upward trajectory. Okay, my friend told me to talk normal. So we're not living as long as we used to. And that's because of the way we're living. So we want to also help with that, help us to raise healthier children.
We want to break all the stereotypes and all the stigmas. We want to just change your view on health. basically. And people are like, what, do you think you're going to change the world with a podcast? Well, someone's got to, right?
Yeah.
No, we don't. But if we can even reach one person, if we can help one person be healthier, I'll sleep better at night. I'm happy. Yeah. If we can help make your life better, great. And I hope you're on board with us. And if you're not, if you think we're a bunch of crazy people, look into it yourself. Hey, do the research. Find it. It's out there. We were that person. Oh, it's fine. Like, let me just clean with this Clorox and then go drink my Pepsi and eat these Cheetos. I'm fine. I'm fine.
Yeah.
And I don't mean to stereotype, because I hate when people refer to me as a millennial and I'm this way because I'm a millennial. I'm not a stereotypical person. But I hate stereotype. But people in maybe like the generation born in more of like the 50s were like, oh, well, we grew up that way. We're fine. But are you fine? Are you fine? That's my question. Are you fine? Okay, maybe you didn't have a stroke or a heart attack, but are you healthy? Are you having bowel movements after every meal because you're supposed to? Or are you going 3 days without a BM? Because that's a long time. Western medicine says, no, it's fine. You can go a week even. You'll be okay. That's not okay. When food goes in your mouth, you should be like, oh, I gotta go to the bathroom. Like, make room for that food. You shouldn't be expanding. You should be food in, food out. And people make fun of that, but that's normal. When did that stop being normal? When we had like office meetings and I can't poop right now. I don't have time. Like, we can talk about poop. It's okay.
Yeah. Talking about poop, we're talking about mental health, and we're talking about the upside down.
We're going to talk about a lot of stuff that people don't talk about, because you should talk about it. Why aren't we talking about it? And why is it normal that 60% of the population has an autoimmune disease? That's over half of the people in the world have an autoimmune disease. Allergies.
That would mean one of us has an autoimmune disease.
Go to a party, and I dare you, find one person I dare you to what am I saying? Go to a party. See if you can find someone who has an allergy. I don't know what I'm saying. You will not be able to not find someone who doesn't have an allergy. That was a lot of negatives. Somebody at that party has an allergy to something. And we act like that's normal. Oh, I have allergies. I just need to take my Claritin. Like, do you know what you're saying? You have allergies. That means that your body is attacking the natural world. That's weird. The natural world that we've lived on for centuries, and now all of a sudden your body can't handle it. That's not right. That's weird. What's wrong with you? Why did this happen to you? It's not like, oh, I have allergies, it's in my genes, or oh, I just have had allergies since birth. It's not, I just have allergies, I just have asthma, I just have to take this medicine or I'm gonna die. Like, that's not normal, but we've normalized that in our society. Common and normal are not the same. Do not use them synonymously.
Oh, yeah.
Common, yes. Allergies are common. Normal, is it normal for your body to freak out when you're around a flower? That's weird. That's not normal. Is it normal for you to, like, want to die when you eat a strawberry? No, that's not normal.
Yeah. I've had family members where they're like, oh my gosh, you can't make me eat these fruits because I have to go to the bathroom. Well, how much are you going to the bathroom normally? Like once every few days. That's not normal.
Fruit is a natural detoxer.
Yeah, you should be moving. A lot of times people will get diverticulitis, like infections in the intestines and things like that, because you have like 28 feet of intestines. So if you're not moving all the gunk that you eat out and all the bacteria through regularly, then you're going to end up with a balance in your homeostasis. You're going to end up with an infection. You're going to end up not being able to absorb all the things that you need to keep your immune system in a state where it could fight off disease. So we really need to be having fruits and vegetables with fiber in it, where we could move through that 28 feet of intestines and kind of detoxify the body and make it in a state where it's able to go and fight for you and bring out the soldiers. So,
and our bodies were designed to detox in a lot of different ways, and we're going to have a Detox Your Life segment, which I'm really excited about. But you can urinate and detox that way, so drinking a lot of water is good for you. You can sweat and detox that way, so working out is good for you. Bowel movements, You can detox that way. So eating foods that speed up the digestive system. And I'm not saying like eat something that's going to make you sick and give you diarrhea. I'm saying like eat a lot of fruits and vegetables because those are higher in fiber and then they move through you faster. Processed food, white sugar, refined sugar, slows down your digestive system. So it slows down your detox process. So if you're not detoxing as much as you should be, that means that all that crap is staying inside of you and it's going to make you sick at one point or another.
And we also advocate for a certain product that will help you get your fruits and vegetables in. It's, 10 servings a day?
30.
Oh, wow. Oh my gosh. So we're supposed to have that much a day. And I know for me, it's difficult to get that much in, even though I do try to eat fruits and vegetables and I try to not eat out as much.
The product has 30 different fruits and vegetables in it. And we are firm believers in it. Supplements is another topic we're going to talk about. Synthetic and biounavailable. 2 big words with supplements. Your body doesn't know how to respond to a part of a whole. Like I said, we're designed to react to nature and interact with nature. And if you're taking an apple and only extracting the vitamin C from it, and then you put it in your body as this synthetic part of a whole, your body's gonna be like, well, what's this? Like, I don't know what to do with this. And you pee it out. Or calcium. People who have osteoporosis, doctors say, oh, we got to pump you up with calcium. Well, if you don't have the magnesium your body needs to absorb the calcium, or the vitamin D your body needs to absorb the calcium, you're either going to pee it out or it's going to like put you in hyperdrive. Like your body's like, oh my God, what is this? And your body's going to freak out and it's not going to respond well. So nature knows what you need. Like eat whole food. And if you have trouble with that, then take a supplement. And even I think everyone should take a daily whole food supplement instead of a multivitamin, because multivitamins are kind of crap. Take a whole food supplement that gives you fruits and vegetables, because it's not only, and I'm sorry, you're right, it was 10. Okay, yeah. They recommend 10 fruits and vegetables a day, 30. But if you're nursing or pregnant, they recommend more, upwards of 15. And if you have a chronic disease, which, like I said, 60% of the population, it could be you, 18 to 20. Who do you know eats 18 to 20 servings of fruits and vegetables a day? I don't. It doesn't happen. Yeah. It doesn't happen. So, very important to eat whatever you can in fruits and vegetables, and whatever you can't, take a whole food vitamin and make sure that it's processed in a way that doesn't involve heat, that doesn't destroy the nutrients. Like I said, a lot of these health things we've already implemented into our life. So if you are interested in learning more about any specific products that we may, topics we'll talk about in videos, but specific products, shoot us an email. So our email is listed at the bottom too. It's alive to thrive OT, alive to thrive OT at gmail.com. So sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I misspoke. It's okay.
But so I just think that sums it up for our second episode. We just kind of wanted to go more in depth with what we're covering and the kind of problems we see in the current healthcare system and the direction that we want the healthcare system to go. And just to say thank you for listening to us, friends and family.
Before we go, though, the ironic thing, we're occupational therapists by trade, and we forgot to mention our OT playlist. So we also have a playlist for occupational therapy where we'll be talking about rehabilitation and recovery, what to expect after surgeries, how to prevent things, lifestyle changes, relaxation and coping strategies, things like that. So I just think that was funny because we're OTs and we're talking about everything but OT. Yeah. But like Tracy was saying, OT is involved in all these different areas, and we are qualified to talk about all these things. They're just not common, I guess, and it's not common to talk about these things, and we want it to be common because it's important and it'll affect your life in the best way possible. And we're excited for you guys to be here with us. So
yes, we're super excited. So please subscribe. And
yes, so our channel, 3 requests.
Yeah,
4 requests. Like our channel, like our video, subscribe to our channel, and then there's a little bell at the bottom right of the screen that'll send you alerts when we have a new video. But then also the 4th request, hop on Facebook, www.facebook.com/Lauren and Tracy. And that's our Facebook page for Alive to Thrive OT. And we also post whenever we have new videos, we post them there. And if you could also like and follow our page on Facebook. We are trying to reach as many people as possible. Like I said, we don't think we can change the world, but if we can...
I actually do think we can.
We can change sure.
We can change.
We can change the world one person at a time. So if you know anyone that could benefit, that would be interested, even someone that you don't think would be interested, like have it on in the background and maybe they will be interested. We try to make these interesting.
Plant the seed.
Plant the seed.
I'm sorry.
Share, share, subscribe. We're happy you're here with us. Thank you for sticking with us for the past hour. And we look forward to our upcoming videos. So check us out. We launch on September 7th. And from there, we will be releasing at least one video every week. So stay tuned. There's so much greatness to come.
Thanks, guys. See you next time.
This is Alive to Thrive. I am Lauren Lyman.
And I'm Tracy Schnabel.